Hello, Chef Marcus Guiliano here, and I'm your chef on a mission. Today's mission is health. I want to talk about a topic that's dear and personal to a lot of people. That topic is cancer. And I just want to share a few things that I know about cancer and cancer treatment. Cancer treatment can be very controversial, just want to start with one of the most common things I hear from people. We tried everything, but it didn't work. We tried everything, and people say that all the time. And you know, I really feel bad in the situation with cancer because the treatment, chemotherapy is so toxic, radiation. I've been studying alternative health for 20 years. I've read a lot of books. I've spoken to doctors. I've even contributed to a lot of alternative health books, recipes for food. I've been around researchers years ago. When I was contributing recipes, and I'm really just fascinated with the food connection and our health. And there's a massive connection between food and health. What you put into your body, you are what you eat, and you are what you eat, what that eats. So it just goes right down the chain. So the biggest thing that people need to understand is that cancer specifically is pollution. Cancer is pollution of the body. Somewhere along the line, you got pollution. Now, people can say genes, and doctors say genes. Look at Bruce Lipton's research, the foremost geneticist in the world. Bruce Lipton says that 2% of genetics really play a part. And a lot of other alternative people I listen to say that. But what happens is you create the right environment, the right pollution, and then your genes may be expressed. And a lot of people just say, well, it's in my genes. I need this. I need that. The doctor says that. And that's what medicine says. That's what the pharmaceutical industry says. But a lot of independents are saying, no, that's not the case to the full extent. So let's put that aside now. And let's say, go back to the statement, well, I tried everything, and when nothing worked for my uncle, for my father, for whatever, here's what and this is a touchy subject, and I usually keep my mouth shut because the last thing someone wants to hear is things they didn't try. So if you tried everything for cancer, you'd be trying a lot of different therapies. Most people just simply think they're eating better. I've had personal friends that say, well, I eat great. And I ask them to tell me their diet. I'm like, okay, fried chicken's not great. Chicken in general's not great. This isn't great. You're still using sugar. You're still doing this. So when you try everything, here's just some of the things that people typically don't try when it comes to treating their cancer. Now, cancer takes many, many years to form in your body. It's not something that just all of a sudden appears one day, and it's not just going to disappear the next day. It's a progression. It's a degenerative thing. It builds up, and then you can, obviously to get rid of it, to reverse it, it just doesn't happen overnight. And that's the problem with a lot of degenerative diseases. All of a sudden it just shows up one day and you think, oh my gosh, but it really happened over years. Cancer can take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, even longer, depending upon the amount of pollution. The pollution could be a vaccine. You could have gotten a bad vaccine when you were a kid. That's why they say, kids have certain cancers. It can be holding your phone up to your ear. All that electromagnetic frequency frying your brain. It can be where your bed is in your room. It can be so many different things. The car I'm riding in right now has electromagnetic frequencies that really are not good for the body. So everything you're doing for your body is either good or bad. There's no sort of thing as equilibrium. All right. So if you're going to walk barefoot on asphalt, you're going to absorb chemicals in your body. As the newer the asphalt, the more chemicals there are. If you're going to walk barefoot on the earth and rock, you're going to get the magnetism of the earth. You're going to get the charge of the earth. So good or bad, there's really no in between in life. And moderation is killing us because people use moderation as a justification for eating bad food, doing bad things. They're like, I only ate one donut today. That's good moderation, right? So one donut. I had one alcoholic drink. I had one whiskey. I only had one whiskey today. So let's say you consume one donut. You're putting in fried flour. You're putting in a ton of other just chemicals and crap and other things that aren't good for your body. Well, so on a cellular level, each one of your cells that get hit with these chemicals and this fried flour and the acrylamides, they don't say, oh, Marcus is only having one donut today. It's moderation. Let's not experience a negative effect on Marcus's choice for one donut, or his French fries that he's eating, or the grilled cheese sandwich that was cooked in this, and this with that, and that. They don't say that. Your cells don't say that. The cells say, okay, bad or good, walking on asphalt or walking on stone barefoot. It's one or the other. One or the other. There's no such thing as moderation on a cellular level. Of course, the more bad stuff you put in your body, the more of a detriment you're going to have. But from the very first bite you take, your cells are in reaction mode or growth mode. That's the bottom line. So here's some things that I would like to ask people, or I do ask people when they say, well, you know, we tried everything. All right, did you try meditation? Did you try detoxifying? Did you try detoxifying your diet? Did you try fasting? Did you try a cleanse? Did you do a juice cleanse? Did you do a liquid cleanse? Did you try an alkaline diet? Did you try a raw food diet where you're not cooking oils anymore, where you're not cooking things? Cooking food it's very taxing on the body to cook food. It takes a lot to digest cooked food. Did you try vitamin C therapy? Did you go to a doctor, alternative doctor, and there's some regular doctors, medical doctors, that will give you 75 grams, 150 grams of vitamin C intravenously to boost your immune system. There's been a lot of proof on vitamin C therapy, high doses of vitamin C therapy for cancer. Did you watch all of Dr. Tullio Simoncini's videos? And I have videos with Dr. Tullio Simoncini, the Roman oncologist, who uses baking soda for cancer treatment instead of the traditional chemotherapy. Did you watch his videos? Did you read his book? Did you read Cancer is, who's the author that, it's a fantastic, amazing book. Cancer isn't a disease, it's a defense mechanism. Did you read that book in depth and understand the principles? Did you go to a health food store and look up and find reishi mushroom extract and all these mushroom extracts that boost the immune system that have been proven? Did you actually go to several different doctors, alternative practitioners? Or were you just going to your doctor getting chemotherapy and telling you, well, you need to eat a little better? Were you eating lots of kale every day? There's so many things that you can specifically do. Did you stop holding your phone up to your head? And yes, sleeping on a magnetic mattress is extremely beneficial. How many of people have had magnetic mattresses? It mimics you sleeping on the earth. We're so disconnected with the gravitational or the magnetic pull of the earth, and we need that. We need that magnetism from the earth. So walking barefoot on the lawn sprayed without chemicals. So did you stop spraying your lawn with harmful chemicals? Did you start eating 100% organic food? Did you start avoiding glyphosates? Did you stop spraying glyphosates on your own lawn? Are you getting sun exposure every day? Vitamin D? There's so many things that people can do for cancer. It's just there's typically never one answer for cancer. Were you drinking baking soda? Take some of Tullio Simoncini's theories, his proven track record, and were you drinking baking soda? Now, of course, he gets more than just drinking baking soda because he likes to inject it into the tumor. Of course, different tumors, different parts of the body, like bone cancer versus something else, is totally different ways to administer the baking soda therapies. Did you buy books and go on YouTube and do videos with the most successful cancer clinics in the world? Did you study the alternative ones? Did you study the rates? Did you study what they do in China for cancer? Did you study what they do in Egypt for cancer? Did you study all these different things? Did you get out of that Western medical mentality? Because Western medical mentality is, okay, bam, chemotherapy, radiation, drugs, and that's it. Did you know that chemotherapy actually kills people before the cancer does? It's such a harsh, toxic therapy. Did you do research on finding out what happens if the chemotherapy drug spills on the floor in a hospital or anywhere? They actually have to call the hazmat. And people come in there and clean this up in a suit because they don't want to touch it. But yet they're injecting this into your body. Have you ever thought of the process of, wow, that's pretty scary, but yet I'm getting that done? If they can't touch it, they have a hazmat unit come in to clean this up, and you're putting it in your body, what kind of effect is it having on your body? Did you understand the effect that cancer, where the tumor is only where it manifests? It's maybe not where it started. Cancer can be generated throughout the body. Did you study colon health and how a dirty bowel has the effect on cancer as well. And did you get colonics? Most people haven't done that. So back to the bowel health. Colonics are super, super important. What did I say right before that? There's just so much to say on this topic. Did you do an emotional reset? Okay, talk about meditation, one of the first things. But did you do a truly emotional reset? Did you go to a doctor, a practitioner, somebody who can really go back through your whole life and understand the choices that you've made throughout your whole life, and the feelings and the emotions have to deal with your health? And did you understand that everything you're doing, every single thing you're doing, is either good or bad? So that one alcoholic drink if you have cancer, that one teaspoon of sugar, that one cookie, that one donut, that one walking on the asphalt, this everything you're doing is either good or bad. Your job is to do as many good things as possible to flood yourself. Become a vegan, plant-based diet. Not any kind of vegan, because there's a lot of vegan junk food out there. French fries are vegan, and that's a junk food. Stop eating refined foods. Olive oil is a refined food. Oils are refined foods. Most oils that you buy in the grocery store to cook with have 7 stages of processing, from degumming, debleaching, deodorizing, heating up to an extremely high heat where the oil turns black, and they have to bleach it, deodorize it to make it shelf stable so they can put it into a bottle. It looks clear. Get rid of that. Get rid of that toxic crap. There's hexane gas in it. The seafood you're eating, a lot of it's coming from polluted oceans, or it's coming from farms that are polluted. The fish are living in filth and spreading disease. Oh man, did you get a job that you truly enjoy, that have a passion for, that you have a mission, that you're helping other people? Is everything fulfilled in your life? Is the why being answered of your life? There's so many things that people can do for cancer. Now, there's more than that than I just listed here. If I were you and you wanted to, one of the good things is, ask Sloan. Go to the top oncologist in Sloan and say, where do you take your patients when you have when there's nothing else to do? When they're on their deathbed, there's nothing else for you to do physically here for them. Where do you take your patients? And if it's an honest oncologist, he'll tell you, because they do take them to alternative people. They say, here you go, and dump them off to all the alternative people that they know have the highest success rates with cancer. This is a fact. And I know one of them that they do this with. So why don't you start with that practitioner first instead of going to the toxic chemotherapy route? Why don't you start with the person that they'll say, okay, last resort, here you go. Now, the problem with the guy with the last resort, or the lady with the last resort, they're getting somebody who is extremely toxic from the chemotherapy, who's extremely weak, who's literally on their deathbed, and there's not much hope for them. There's just not much. Your body's at a whole different position than it was 6 months earlier, a year earlier, 2 years earlier, before you started getting the chemotherapy. Did you study doctors, true medical doctors, that turned down chemotherapy? Doctors that made their living on Western medication, that knew that it wasn't the alternative, then they knew there was alternatives because they saw what medicine was doing. There's many of those doctors out there. The first one that pops in my mind is Dr. Lorraine Day, on her deathbed with breast cancer, wasn't supposed to live the night, and turned down chemotherapy because she knew that wasn't the answer. And now, she's taken her knowledge, and she's written books, and she's done a lot of good work for people in alternative health. And she was a trained Western medical doctor. Did you study all those doctors who are doing chemotherapy themselves? Did you talk to doctors who don't vaccinate their own kids because they understand there could be some possible negative effects? So next time you say that you did everything you possibly could for somebody, a family member, for cancer, there's always more you can do. That's just the way it is. And keep trying. If anybody has any questions, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to send you off to some of my favorite practitioners, people that I respect, people that I think are highly influential or big success rates. One of the things that I learned from somebody who worked directly for Hilda Clark, a cancer clinic in Mexico, food poisoning. Food poisoning causes a major detriment on your body, and there's a way to actually sanitize your food. Sanitized food is super important. to get rid of all kinds of microbes, negative microbes that are going to mimic cancer symptoms, where they're treating you for something else, and it's not even the full effects of the cancer that you have. So if you read Andreas Moritz's book, his cancer book, you will see that the body just builds cancer up on a regular basis, and it gets rid of it. It's your way of, a tumor is your way of your body just combining the junk that's in your body, the pollution, combining it. And it's your body's trying, that tumor's trying so hard to collect junk, collect garbage, that it keeps growing and growing at twice the rate of normal cells, because again, it's just collecting the debris in your body. But what happens is, people go for surgery, they remove the tumor, but the junk is still being, the garbage is still being compiled somewhere in your body. So at some point, it's going to manifest again in a weak organ, in a weak part of your body, where it's going to allow the garbage to build up. That's why just removing cancer and removing a tumor is not really the best way to treat it. So if you've only done that, and if you've done chemo and radiation, there's the success rates are pretty much terrible across the board with any of these cancers. And of course, if you're cancer-free for 5 years, they call it a success rate. And keep in mind, cancer can take 10 years to form. So if you remove the tumor, and 5 years later you don't have a tumor, and your blood work's okay, that cancer can still be forming in your body, and 10 years later you could get another tumor, 7 years later, but they've considered the therapy a success because you haven't had cancer for 5 years. And as over the years, they've actually lowered this time because it looks better on paper, right? The government can say, or the medical society can say, we're actually improving our rates. Well, yeah, if you look at a 10-year versus 5-year versus 3-year, and how you analyze somebody after the fact that they had cancer, you're going to come up with a better success rate by looking at them 3 years after versus 5 years after versus 7 years after versus 10 years after. So I do feel bad for people that have cancer. I feel even worse for the people that get screwed by the medical industry with cancer. I know this is a controversial subject, and people put a lot of faith into traditional medical therapies, into chemo and radiation. I know people put a lot of faith into that, and as soon as you start telling people that there are other things and this and that, people go into the denial and this and that. And of course, when it comes to loved ones and deaths in the family, this is a very, very, very touchy subject, and by no means is this video meant to disrespect anybody in that aspect. It's hopefully meant to, and hopefully this video is meant to inspire you to do more research and do 1 or 2 more things that can either help you prevent cancer in the future or help a loved one through their cancer or your cancer now. And keep researching. And they say, get a second opinion. People that say, that's the standard quote, get a second opinion. No, get a different opinion, because the second opinion can be the same opinion as your first. You always want to get a different opinion when it comes to your health. Chef Marcus Guiliano, thanks for watching. If you like my vids, hit like, subscribe, leave any questions or comments, and I'll be happy to answer.